Sir, half my men are down. Most of the rest are wounded. The left is too thin, sir.
How are we fixed for ammunition?
It's almost gone.
Sir, we're running out. We don't have much left to shoot with. Some of the boys got nothing at all.
Sir, what do we do for ammunition?
Sir, my boys have to pick up red muskets and they're firing back with them.
Sir, we ought to pull out.
No, we can't do that.
We can't hold them again, sir. You know that.
Well, if we don't, they go on by and over the hill and the whole flank caves in.
Sir, here they come.
Well, we can't run away. If we stay here, we can't shoot. So let's fix bayonets. We'll have the advantage of moving down the hill. They gotta be tired, the Revs. They gotta be close to the end if we are. So fix bayonets. Ellis, you take the left wing, I'll take the right. I want a right wheel forward of the whole regiment.
What, you mean charge?
Yes, but here's what we do. We're going to charge swinging down the hill. Just like we pulled back to this left side of the regiment, now we're going to swing it down. We swing like a door. We're going to sweep them down the hill just as they come up. Understand? Does everybody understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ellis, you take the left wing, and when I give the command, I want the whole regiment to go forward, swinging down to the right.
All right, sir. Fine.
Move. Left wing, right wheel.
Right wheel!
Charge.
What is up, Rio Hondo Prep Football fans? Welcome to the 2025 CIF Southern Section Division 5 Finals between your Rio Hondo Prep Cares and the Redondo Union Seahawks. It's hard to believe we are saying those words, but hey, the past 3 years, it's sounded a little odd each and every time. Rio Hondo against Santa Monica, Rio Hondo against Warren, and now one more time as the Rio Hondo Prep Cares take on the Redondo Union Seahawks, who, were a 16 seed starting as this bracket came out. They upset Torrance in the first round, their league rivals, who Torrance had beat earlier in the year. But hey, it's in the playoff time, postseason time. It's a brand new season, and anything can happen. And so it's been a wild postseason for both teams. But this Saturday night down at the Seahawk Bowl, the Rio Hondo Prep Carriers will travel to Redondo Beach and take on Redondo Union in the Division 5 Southern Section Championship game. Redondo Union coming off of very impressive wins, again, over Torrance, over over St. Paul, and also over Loyola. Rio Hondo Prep coming up with wins over Thousand Oaks, Troy, and last week La Serna. So three very tough opponents for each squad. Both teams coming in obviously with the winning streaks there, and two teams that probably couldn't be more different in a sense of just who they are. The enrollment, the style of play, just kind of the ground up, the neighborhood kids, if you will, of Rio Hondo Prep, and I'm sure there's plenty of that there. Redondo Union as well. There are some, were some guys who transferred in from, if you remember, Bishop Montgomery earlier in the year. Hopefully we have that information correct. That's what I hear anyway. Don't want to speculate, but for all reports have said that a few of those guys have come over from there. And if you remember at the very beginning of the season, that was kind of a big deal. Bishop Montgomery, their program kind of folding after some, questionable tactic, whatever, the transfer process, whatever. But anyway, enough about that. Redondo Union and Rio Hondo Prep, man, in the Division 5 championship. And as the Cares chase history, as I've been saying since the summer here of 2025, and obviously when the playoffs started, they're going after that three-peat that has never been done in school history in the 11-man era. And, guys like Fred Robledo, Aram, Telegian talk about a possible three-peat for Rio Hondo being one of the greatest runs in the San Gabriel Valley history. When you think about it, I mean, Division 9, Division 7, now Division 5, very tough opponents, no easy stops along the way, and Rio Hondo has prevailed and done so in convincing fashion, shocking the world against Santa Monica 2 years ago, really, with a eye-opening, jaw-dropping win over Warren last year in convincing fashion. So what I said in the summer, what will the trilogy look like for these seniors who have been a part of two great championship teams and a third championship game appearance? Well, they have an opportunity to raise the 17th Southern Section Championship banner in Rio Hondo's illustrious history. This school started playing six-man football back in the 60s, had a great few decades of winning 8-man championship, 9 of those. And then in 2002, my senior football season, we went 11-man. And who would have thought that one day we'd be playing against someone like Redondo Union in a championship game for a potential third championship game appearance. So had to bust out all the stops for the Thanksgiving championship game, a pregame show. I got my jersey on for those not watching. This was my jersey. It's a road jersey, of course, when for my junior season. We went new uniforms my senior year, but man, as I pulled it out, I was like, I got a white one for the road since we're on the road this week. And I don't wear it very often, for the podcast. I've done it a few times. It still fits, but, I do remember that we used to put pads under these things. So maybe that's why it fits a little bit. But if I look at my jersey here, it kind of brings back just so many memories. I think the last time I wore this was at King's Christian, which is up in Fresno. We played a semifinal game up there so many years ago, 23 years ago. Man, that's crazy. But if you look, I got some rips here. I got some blood stains on the sleeves. I mean, I washed it and all, but some of the things you don't want to wash out, right? You want to keep it authentic. So, I mean, I'm not exactly Noah Peninari or anything, but scrappy guy back when I played 23 years ago. Man, that is just weird to even say, but I had to bust that out and had to bust out, man, the intro there. Gettysburg, one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite scenes. Little Round Top, when the Union Army, they are out of options. They have nothing left. Literally, they don't have any ammunition. They were told there at Gettysburg to hold the flank, and they couldn't, or hold the end of the line. They could not be flanked. They had to hold it to the last. And to Colonel Chamberlain, there, played by Jeff Daniels. Phenomenal scene of him as Colonel Chamberlain, who, if you watch the movie, you could see it in his eyes, like he doesn't know what to do, and then he has to come up with an answer to his troops. And they were out of ammunition, they couldn't retreat, so the only option was charge charge forward down the hill. And I think the lesson there is that, no matter how bad things get, no matter how much you don't think you have left, the challenge to the boys this week, and I don't need to tell them that, but just for the fans, also for everybody, for just us all united as a Rio Hondo family, there's always more. There's always a solution. You can always give more. And I think that's a staple of Rio Hondo Prep. And, truth be told, that is, again, I'll spill my heart out here on the show. Like, that is one of my favorite scenes in any movie. And even watching it a few times this week, knowing I was going to kind of lead with that, I can't watch that or listen to it without getting like emotional, getting teary-eyed. It just every single time. Every time I play it, I go, okay, I'm not going to get. It's the music, it's the maybe it's the trumpet, it's the charging. It's just so much that goes into it when you think about for those history buffs out there, non-history buffs, whatever. That moment in our history, Gettysburg, the bloodiest battle in American history, and had the Union not won that battle, things could have been so different. And had the 20th Maine, the 20th Maine there of the Union Army had not held that hill, and were flanked, and the South had won that battle, which they had a lot of momentum up to that point, and had things gone differently, who knows what history would have unfolded. So rather significant moment. And, I typically lead the show with these kind of military quotes or scenes. And I don't know if you guys like it or not, but for me, it just seems relevant, and it's something I like to do. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. But if you don't, hey, thanks for bearing with me here on the Charge to Keep podcast. It's a championship edition of the show here. So we have to bring forth a championship effort, not just with the jerseys, not just with the intro, but also with our guests. And tonight on the show, I'm recording this Monday night, actually. Tonight on the show, we have two outstanding guests. Yes, you heard that right. Last week, we had Coach Montoya from Sure and Coach Parnell from Azusa Pacific University. Thought that was rather fun. And, hey, as the games get bigger, we have to continue to bring it here on the podcast as well. So tonight on the show, we're going to have Coach Ray Carter from Torrance High School, who has coached against Rio Hondo Prep the two previous years, in 2023 in the regular season, where Rio Hondo won that game 20-9, and then last season on the road for Rio Hondo at Torrance at Louis Zamperini Stadium, the Cares lost 28-21. So Coach Carter coached against Coach Rio Hondo's last regular season loss, which goes back to last season at Torrance High School. And Coach Carter is also relevant. I have him on the show for another relevant reason, because, we have him. He played Redondo Union not once, but twice this season as the Torrance Tartars. They faced Redondo Union in their league, where Torrance was victorious in that game. And then in the first round of the playoffs, a 16 versus a 1 seed, Redondo Union took down Torrance. So we're going to hear from Coach Carter today, maybe what he has to say about Redondo Union, give us some inside analysis, and maybe his thoughts on Rio Hondo Prep a little bit. I do know he's a listener of the podcast. He told me he listened and watched all of our episodes leading up to the game last year. So maybe that's why Coach Carter and the Torrance Tartars were successful against Rio Hondo last year. I keep saying, forgive me, Coach, I keep calling them Tartars or Tartans. I think it is the Tartans, but anyway, just wanted to make sure we get that accurate. So sometimes when you put together all this information, you just start rambling and away you go. So anyway, our other guest tonight on the show is going to be Craig Clingman, who was on the 1977 championship team for Rio Hondo Prep, the first of the real big upsets. I was right, the Torrance Tartars, by the way. The first of one of Rio Hondo's major upsets, really, in their school history, the 1977 triple overtime thriller against Montclair Prep. Clingman was on that team. He was a wide receiver. He was the kicker. He had some, big clutch, nerve-wracking extra points in that game, especially one, to tie it and send it to overtime late in the game. He had a touchdown catch, I believe. We'll get to all that with Craig Clingman. Craig was also a football official for many years, so that's kind of where he and I connected and chatted some ball back in the day. But Craig Clingman, a proud member of Rio Hondo Prep, and he was out at some games. He's been at some playoff games. If you've you may not have noticed him out there, but wanted to bring him on, talk about 1977. We've had a lot of local media guys on here the past few weeks and some coaches. I thought let's get back for the championship game. Let's bring back a little Rio Hondo magic and go back in time and relive it a little bit. I thought that was very spitting here on the Charge to Keep podcast for our CIF Southern Section Finals pregame show for this Saturday night's game down at Redondo Union. So, all right, I have more to say about Redondo Union. We'll break down their schedule. I'll have an explanation point at the very end of the show, but we're going to have a lengthy show again, maybe not the 2-hour version we had last week, but let's get right to our first guest since he's been waiting here patiently for me. Coach Carter from Torrance High School will give us some insight into Redondo Union and also say what he needs to say about this Rio Hondo Prep program, as well as the Cares split the series with the Tartars in 2023 and 2024. And you know what? I have every reason to believe that we'll be seeing each other again, whether it be in the regular season or the postseason in the very near future. All right. Our first guest of the night for the CIF Finals pregame show is Torrance head coach Ray Carter. All right. Our first guest tonight is Coach Ray Carter from Torrance High School. He has faced off against Redondo Union twice this year, once in league play, once in the postseason. And, of course, he knows Rio Hondo pretty well from a couple of great regular season matchups the 2 previous years. Coach Carter, good evening. How you doing?
Good. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Hey, appreciate it. Happy to have you. We do have a little delay here, everyone listening, but we're gonna bear through it. Get through it here with the technology issues. It's probably on my end usually, but Coach Carter, we chatted a little bit through social media before, and today just kind of naturally happened when you mentioned something I posted. You've been a follower of the Charge to Keep platform, podcast, social media account for a couple of years now, right?
Yeah, for a couple of years, since we scheduled Rio Hondo a couple of years ago, and just learning more about them, and came across your platform, and I just been following since.
That's it's really cool. It's been the goal of everything to get everything out there. Not hopefully give away any secrets here on the show, but at the same time we're going with all access and everything. So before we get to Redondo Union, Coach, you had 2 really good games with Rio and Torrance in 2023, 2024. You are the last team to beat Rio Hondo in the regular season, which I think is kind of a fun stat. We got you in 2023. You got us in 2024. We both won CIF titles in 2023. So I don't know, man. What do you remember about those 2 matchups with Rio the past 2 years?
Oh man, the first time around, that game was scheduled pretty late. We had a hole to fill in our schedule, and we ended up coming across Rio Hondo. So, new familiar team with us. And it was kind of one of those games where we didn't really know what to expect first time playing around. So, of course, you want to be respectful for every opponent. It's a football game. And coming into that game, I can feel that our team was, pretty highly confident, based off where we were in our season. And, just learning more about Rio Hondo, and especially what I know now, it all makes sense how that game went. And, they gave us exactly what we deserved. So, much respect to those guys out there. They played their hearts out, and they brought it to us. Definitely a humbling experience. And, we definitely built from that moment with our program for sure, hands down.
Well, I could say the feeling is mutual because that was a hard-fought game for us. We actually lost some bodies in that game, some injuries, and they came back later, of course. But hard-fought, physical game, exactly what we needed. And it was even more what we needed the previous year, Coach, in 2024. Tough road test against you guys, 2 defending champions. I pubbed it up as like a boxing analogy. Whose belt's going to go? And you know what? I think losing to you guys 28-21 was almost the best thing that happened to us in 2024.
Yeah, I mean that game has been built since we lost to you guys in 2023. And going into that season, especially in non-league, I'm never a coach that I want to look ahead, but that Rio game was a big one for us, and we returned a lot of kids the next year, so they was hungry to get there, and And the game went as expected. It was tough. We knew what we had to do to be successful that game, and we knew what we were going to get from Rio. And that was probably one of the best coach games that I've been a part of since I've been at Torrance. And we came out with the victory. But it was tough though. It was tough. That game could have went either way, but I'm glad our boys finished strong.
Oh yeah, no, that you guys finished. We had the ball late, a couple clutch fourth down stops by you guys. I thought we were gonna pull it out, but hey, it was good for us to get that first loss. And that game really, even more than the 2023 game, that game had such a playoff vibe to it. Again, with
Yeah.
two defending champs. I mean, going into it and then as the game unfolded, that really did feel like a playoff game.
Yeah, I mean, we have a great community. We got great support within our school, and we got a great fan base with our parents and supporters of our programs. So, them knowing what's going on in our program, they knew how big that game was. So, the game was packed out. The game was loud, and we leaned on the support system of our community to help us get through that game. So, it felt like a playoff game for sure. And that's still the type of games that we want to play in every year.
And I didn't ask you this before, and so any question is never to blindside you or anything. I'm just organic conversation here. What was there? You mentioned the first year, kind of like you heard about us, and okay, and then you played us, and it was like, whoa, who are these guys? Was there a sense of that, and kind of because we're running into that a lot now in these days in the playoffs and everything, where maybe teams have heard of us, but they don't quite understand that no, we play pretty good football despite being this tiny school. So was there kind of I don't know, a learning experience there?
Yeah, it was a learning experience. I think the biggest thing for us was just realizing, well, one, when you talk about the scheme of things, what Rio does offensively is hard to prep for. They do it so well, so it's hard to simulate that at practice to be able to actually get a look to know what you're going to go against. And also, too, the skill set of the players, they're so dynamic. And I think that's where you guys, Rio, kind of catch teams slipping. The eye test is always one thing. And, some teams, they may come overconfident and they look at a team like Rio, like, okay, we got this. But like I said, with Coach Carson was doing over there and how he built that program and the way those kids play, man, it's so much respect for those guys because, you want to take what you got and you work what you got and you build from what you got. And that's kind of what we've been doing here at Torrance as far as in our program. And it's and the success that's come from it, on that side is great to see. So, much respect for that part.
Yeah, I think respect is a key word there with everything. It's fun to compete and get after it, and at the end of the day, hey, shake hands, tip your cap when someone gets it better, you and all that. So on that on note from those two games, just what I remember, Silverman, was it Jake Silverman? Great player for you guys. He went on to play college ball, and just for our fans, if you could fill us in on what he's doing these days, where he's at.
Yeah, Jake Silverman. Torrance legend, man, came in. He could have gone anywhere in our area in the South Bay, but he chose to stick with us. Family is from Torrance. All his family members went there, so it was great for him to be a part of our program. 4-year varsity starter, and he definitely is a kid that earned everything that he deserved. So right now he's playing college ball, playing at Nevada, playing linebacker, playing special teams on a travel team. So he's getting that experience, and he's
Nice.
finished strong. Nevada's on a two-game win streak, and hopefully they can finish the season strong so he can start prepping for next season.
That's cool, man. I love Mountain West football. San Diego State, Fresno State, Nevada. I just love it. It's like it's it's not the blue bloods, the Big Five or whatever, but it's good football and it's fun to watch. A lot of local guys, especially from Southern California. On that note, Coach, talking about your guy Noah Peninari, who's still a senior. What was your kind of either perception of him or what was your takeaway from facing him for 2 years?
So I played running back coming up, so I can speak highly of him. He's a back that can do it all. He can make people miss. He's great in space. He can stretch the field. Noah, he's a guy that makes stuff happen, and he's definitely a difference maker for Rio. And facing him these past 2 years, I feel that. Well, I'm not sure, but hopefully he's getting the respect that he deserves and the accolades that he deserves in that area because he's a great player over there.
Appreciate that. Yeah, we've he's as humble as they come, and just a good dude, and plays really hard, and we're very proud that he represents us on a weekly basis, and all our kids. They just they we try to do it the real way, if that makes sense. But you coach have some not use some good analysis, we'll say, of Redondo Union. Which you and I were talking about on social media today, and I said, well, let's bring him on the show and chat about Redondo. You guys, coach, had a great year, 10-0, the number one seed in in Division 5, so riding high. Unfortunately, these playoffs are crazy, and it's one loss and out. So before, I guess, yeah, talk to us about the buildup going into that game, Redondo Union, however you want to start it.
We had a great team this year. We were young this year. We got a lot of returners coming back, and we felt like with this group we can go far. We knew we was going to be around this Division 4-5 range, so we kind of was gearing ourselves ready to go, and because we have the squad to do it. And we just took the one game at a time approach for us to get to 10-0. Of course, we won league. We faced a Redondo team earlier in the year, and then we saw them in the first round. It was kind of unexpected, to be honest with you. I guess I'm not caught up all the way in the loop when it comes to CIF as far as how they see. I know there's no human element, so I guess that makes sense as why we play a league team in the first round. But with our approach, especially with my mindset as far as how I operate with the kids, no matter who it is, we're going to be prepared to go and we're going to play our best football. So yeah, 10-0 was great. Unfortunately, first round loss, and we never wanted to go that way. But at the end of the day, we take these things as a learning lesson. For our seniors, hopefully they can take that game and apply it to what they got going forward with their lives coming up. And our underclassmen, hopefully we can take that energy as far as how we felt and how we want to get better into next season. So.
How weird is it? Play, I mean, again, with these playoffs, we've seen this format. It's computer based, and I wish there was a human element. Like, okay, you don't play someone from your league in the first round anyway.
Yep.
Maybe a 10. You guys were 10-0, and home as the number one seed. We were 10-0, and on the road. I mean, the stuff like that just doesn't make sense. So,
Yeah.
but preparing for a team, you see it in college a little. You see it in the NFL a lot. High school, you don't see the whole playing a team two times, right? So how odd was that for you guys? And I don't know, just that whole week in preparation.
I kind of looked at it as, I didn't mind it. I mean, it was kind of a game where it was okay to play another team twice because, what is the advantage? You know what they're good at and you know where they're weak at. And it's the same for us. So it was kind of one of those games where, somebody had to figure out how to get better. Because we know where our weaknesses are on both sides. And, that's kind of how the game went the second time around. And they found a way to get after us. We didn't have our best execution game, that we've had throughout the year, especially on offense. On offense, we averaged 38 points a game, over 300 yards total offensive game. Then they got after us and they slowed us down. So, it was uncharacteristic as far as how we operated offensively that game, as far as turnovers and not executing. And, that unfortunately, end up, having a game like that. But, I'm proud of the kids. They played their hearts out. And, despite all our mistakes that we made, we still had a chance to win.
So you guys defeated Torrance on October 3rd. Or excuse me, Torrance. You defeated Redondo Union 34-24. First round of the playoffs, they beat you 21-14. If you had to sum it up or kind of give us, some bullet points as to what do you think was the difference in those two games, or is it just kind of one team's one night and not the other's the other?
I mean, with the first time we played them, it was a tough game. We knew that if we want a chance at a league title, we would have to get past Redondo. Coach Ellison, he's a great coach over there. He's going to always have those guys prepared. He's going to have those dudes ready, and he had those dudes ready the first time around. So, the first time around compared to the second one, I think we executed better. Of course, it was a tough game. They was up at halftime. And at the end of the third quarter, then we scored 16 points in the fourth quarter to win the game. So, we did what we need to do to win the game. And the second time around, like I said, they played us really aggressive. They got after us. They didn't really they stopped our run game. We had a running back, Von Reiner, who was a league MVP, ran over 1,200 yards in the regular season, and they shut him down. We built off the run. We had a quarterback that threw over 2,000 yards passing, and they kind of put it in his hands. And we made some things happen, and we didn't make some things happen. And that was kind of the ultimate of the game. And them offensively, they want to run the ball just like how Rio want to run the ball. I'll say this: they're huge. They're huge up front, huge up front, and I think the ultimate X factor for them is Bo Osmus. He's a dude. So I know you spoke about Jake Silverman. So he's one of those caliber players that Redondo has.
It seems like they, from watching film, they try to get him the ball in a lot of different ways. They'll spread him out, throw it to him, off tackle stuff. Just he's a dangerous guy. He's got a good mix of speed and power. Obviously, Cole Leinert's quarterback, and can make some throws when it matters. I saw him use his legs a little bit too, but he seems to be more of a pocket guy. But I don't know, man. What would you say? Obviously, we run the ball a ton, right? And you know this better than anyone, but when you say they kind of adjusted and made some kind of shut your running game down or limited it more than the first, did you see any specific things that they did, or was it just kind of, again, seeing you for the second time maybe made them a little more comfortable up front?
I mean, how they played us the second time was understandable. Our running back, Von Reiner, he ran over 100 yards the first time around, and our run game is always beginning for us on offense as far as how we operate. So, for any team, they want to shut down what you're good at, and they're going to try to force you to win the other way, which we're fine. We knew that approach was going to come, so we were prepared to do it. Now it's just, like I said, it's a matter of us executing. So, like I said, that was the second time around as far as how they played us. They just took away what we were good at. We didn't really get the ground game going, especially in the first half. We got it going a little bit in the second half. But it's you got to play catch up the whole game, and you got to try to score points.
Yeah, for sure. They and we mentioned their size up front, both sides of the ball, but that defensive line, man, that D line is very ferocious and physical and just very big. They remind me a lot of the Warren kind of front we saw last year. But they're not just big, Coach. They do make plays. They do make it tough on you to kind of find some running lanes.
Yeah. They very stout. They're going to shoot their lanes pretty good, and they're going to hold up the line of scrimmage. So they do a really good job. They got some good backers as well that can feel pretty good. So yeah, the Redondo defense, they're definitely tough. Coach Ellison, he's a defensive coach, so he's controlling that side of the ball. So he's going to have those guys dialed in and ready to go.
Two defensive head coaches. I love it. Going into this football game, Coach Carson, we take great pride in stopping the run and being able to run the ball. So something's got to give. They like running the ball. Although, talk to me about Leinart and kind of his ability to throw the ball. I don't remember if he's a senior or junior. I think he's a senior, but his ability, obviously, number 7, Bo Osmus is the guy they want to get the ball to. But as far as Leinart goes, the kind of maybe tendencies, or just kind of if he's a deep ball guy or he spreads it around, or kind of what are some of his strengths?
He can do a little bit of both. He can throw the deep ball for sure. He can throw in space and short spaces. So that's where he can good at. If the guys are there, he's going to find them. The one thing that he does well is I think he does most of his damage outside the pocket. So when he's booting around and stuff like that, trying to find guys, they do a really good job of their scramble drill. So that's kind of how they got us on in our game, where if a play is dead, those receivers are going to find a way to get open. And Leinart is really good finding his guys and getting them open and giving them the ball.
So it sounds like he's a little shifty out of the pocket, maybe not a runner, but can scramble and buy time for his guys. So it sounds like defensively, you got to really, really bottle him up and not let him get loose. You got to apply some pressure at him, it sounds like.
If you want to get some pressure at him, he will slow down a little bit, but he'll always keep his eyes down the field. He'll find a way to find his guys, but definitely want to get some pressure on him for sure.
Those plays can be backbreakers, man. You think you do everything right, you force them out, and then all of a sudden scramble drill and boom. It's usually a significant gain on plays like that too, a long pass or something. So okay,
story of our second game, man.
Oh, was it? Oh, wow. 21-14. If you could coach, you saw Rio 2 years ago, but you know them pretty well. What would you say Rio has to do offensively? We want to run the ball and all this and that, but that's the big storyline is can Rio move the ball on this big giant defensive front and also can Rio, slow down this big offensive line and their running game too. So we'll stick with just offense, I guess. What is it you think Rio needs to do to be successful against the Seahawks on Saturday?
One thing I like about Rio's offense, they're really deceptive. You think they're going one way, but they're going the opposite, and they operate so fast you don't know where the ball is. And I think that to their advantage. I think that will be the key for them is continue to be deceptive, continue to build based off what they do, and build more off of it because you're going to have those opportunities too.
Interesting. Yeah, we were successful last week. We ran the ball pretty well, and then we hit on some pass touchdowns, scoring plays, which I think really kind of put Lucerne on their heels a little bit, and then we just hit them, right back with the running game again. So you're right. We do a lot of at you. We run away from you, and then we bring in some counters. So it is kind of what's it like, Coach, preparing for Rio in a week when you know that our offense is kind of like unlike anybody else out there?
It's tough. It's tough because you guys can attack any way that you can. You just don't know when it's coming, and I think that's the tough part. Because, you guys run the ball so well where you want to take away the run game and you want to have great discipline. You want to fill your gaps in, then you can kind of overdo your job and get caught slipping in the pass. So I think that's where the deceptive part is really good when it comes to how Rio operates as an offense and where, that always gives them an advantage as far as on that side of the ball.
Again, random stuff here that just kind of passed through my head. We talked about offense and defense. What about the third phase, Coach? Special teams. Is there anything in your game that happened, either of the two games, whether a field goal block, a muff punt, or anything in the kicking game that stood out to you about the Seahawks?
They got a really good kicker. He's going to boot it out the end zone. One thing they did in our second game, they did a fake punt. They roll out, and we were trying to cover and we was running downfield, running with guys, and the punter took off and got a first down. So one thing about Redondo, they're going to find a way. They're going to find a way. They're going to do whatever they can to win a game. This is going to be a big game for them. They haven't, I think that's their first championship since 1944 or so. And also in the South Bay, it's always big for us to in the South Bay area have a team playing for championship. So it's gonna be a good game, and they're gonna be ready to go. They're gonna prepare. And Coach Ellison, like I said, just like Coach Carson, Coach Ellison, he's a good coach. He's gonna have those dudes ready.
Oh yeah, it's a championship game. How could you not? I mean, it's going to be very, very exciting. Another thing, against random things I'm throwing at you here that I just thought of. You guys have played at Redondo Union. I posted some pictures of the Seahawk Bowl down there. Looks like a nice stadium. Some of our fans were concerned about the size of the visiting bleacher. To me, it's like between the 30s and 40s, but it seems like it goes up pretty high. Is it significant seating for this game, or is it a little tough for the visitors?
No, most definitely. It would be. You guys will have a lot more room. It would be a lot of room at that stadium. It goes pretty high, so it's big enough. It's big enough for the visitor side for sure.
Okay. Yeah, that was my take on it. People were like, that looks really small. And I'm like, 2 years ago, we played at Santa Monica, and it was a pitiful set of bleachers and just a horrible setup and just awful. But so I think we're still scarred from that from a couple of years ago.
Tampa was in our league. We played them this year at their stadium, and interesting game.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. But yeah, okay, Rio fans. So the Seahawk Bowl looks pretty nice, and yeah, it's a little tighter between the 40s or whatever, but it goes up really, really high. So that's really cool. Coach, just before we let you go, let's talk a little bit more here. How long have you been at Torrance? Talk to me a little bit about your background in coaching and even as a player.
I've been at Torrance since 2020, right before COVID. I took the job, and right when I was getting going with the kids, after introduction, COVID hit. So we went that year of not physically being with the players. And, we was living with the unknown, not knowing what's going on with the seasons or sports in general. So Kind of went through that year just zooming with the kids, and I told the staff that I have, like, y'all, I don't want to wait to the last minute to prepare, because we don't know when we're going to get the okay to get back on the field and be productive. So, we got our guys going to prepare as far as the scheme of things, and when we had the opportunity to get to the field, we was all ready to go. Played a COVID year, played 5 games, played a league schedule, went 3-2. The year after that, the first full football season, we went 7-5. Second round loss in Division 11, and then 2-8 after that year. Humbling year. Then the next year was when we played you guys the first year in 23, and of course that was our championship year, Division 10. Then 24 was our 8-3 year, lost in the first round of Division 5. Then now we're here. So been coaching for a while. I started at 24 years old, just as an assistant coach, getting my feet wet. I thought I know everything because I was fresh playing college football. But, of course, I've learned over the years that, you got to get out of player mode and get into coach mode. And, I definitely had some great mentors that helped me grow in this coaching profession that, that pushed me to, invest in myself as a coach to learn more. And, and I'm definitely benefiting from it now as a head coach here. And my goal after finishing my, I want to say 13, 14 season. So, it's great. I love this game. As a player, of course, I played at Crenshaw High, played at UCLA out of high school, and transferred to Colorado State and graduated in 2011. It's been a journey. I knew I always wanted to be a part of the game somehow. And I'm here and I'm loving it. It's my passion. I love helping the kids, and I do it for them.
You sound like one of the many of us, those just football guys. Football can't get enough of it, right? It's just a beautiful thing. Well, congratulations on the 2023 CIF championship. That was phenomenal. You guys beat West Covina just where we just played our semifinal there, and I'll tell you, knowing West Covina, that's no small task there. That's a big win for you guys. So awesome stuff to hear. And finally, coaches, I'm going to ask you just to kind of sum up each of these teams. If someone were to ask you, hey, tell me about Redondo Union from your 2 experiences this year, or being league rivals, and then hey, if someone were to ask you about Rio Hondo Prep from the times you've played them, if you had to sum them up just kind of on the street or whatever, we'll start with Redondo since they are our opponent and they got the home game this week. So talk to me. What would you tell to someone who's like, hey, tell me about Redondo Union High School?
Redondo, historic program, very respected in the community. Definitely playing high right now as far as, peaking. They played a tough non-league schedule, and they're playing their best football right now. They got guys over there. Coach Ellison, he does a great job over there, and they do what they do well. Is they do well at what they do. They got a guy, Bo Awesomeness. You're gonna hear that name a lot. That's a guy that's a difference maker for them. And they're gonna lean on him tough. And like I said, they're gonna play behind him. They're gonna rally behind him, and he gets those guys going. But they got a group of guys that's ready to play, that's ready to step up, and they deserve everything that they received so far. They're a good football team.
Man, huge test. I've heard Redondo Union. That's been a name, for me. And, when you hear all these pretty good high school football programs, this one that's always, stood out. A good area for football, of course. But now let's talk about that tiny school in Arcadia, Coach, and maybe you hadn't heard of before, but you got to play them 2 years in a row. If someone were to say, hey, Rio Hondo Prep, talk to me about them, what would you tell them?
Man, Rio Hondo Prep, a program. I think about, community, the legacy that they have over there, the amount of championships, the unity, the brotherhood, the discipline, all things that make that program great. Those are the things that make them win football games as well. Tough players, don't let the size fool you. Don't let the size of the numbers of the roster fool you. Those dudes know how to play football, and they're gonna do it well. As far as what they do, they operate efficiently, and they're gonna find a way. And they're very coached. They're a very good coach football team, and I know Coach Rocky is over there too. I know he was at SC during the time when I was getting recruited out of high school. So hopefully he remembers me. But I got offered out of from USC out of high school. I know Coach Rocky was on that staff with Pete Carroll. So, having him on the staff is huge, with his knowledge of the game. So, good coach football team. They're going to give you everything they got, and they're fun to watch. I actually watched that Lucerna game on the online stream. So, very much respected, and of course, much respect for me. Ever since we've been playing them, and I've been following these guys ever since. So, I'm excited to see them chase history as well, to add more to the history that they already have. And that's is it a Saturday game? Saturday game. It's going to be a big one. I'm actually going out of town for the Thanksgiving break, but hopefully I'm back in town so I can try to make that game, because that'll be the one I will want to watch. Probably one of the biggest games, or biggest, I want to say, story games that's for CIF Championship this year. So outside of the open one with the new teams that's playing. So
good stuff. You gave me some chills there, Coach. I'm excited. I think this is what our fans wanted to hear as well. We are jacked up. We're pumped up for it. And the respect goes, both ways, Coach. It's an honor competing against you. And I have a feeling we're going to be doing so very, very soon, whether it's the regular season or the postseason. I think Torrance or Rio Hondo has some unfinished business and some future chapters to write.
Trust me, we had the conversations in our coaching office about that potential Torrance Rio rematch if we was going to meet. So unfortunately it didn't happen this year, but hopefully down the line you guys won't be going anywhere. We'll see you guys soon as far as division. So we're excited.
Can't wait. Coach Carter, thanks for coming on, and good luck to you guys going forward. And congrats again, the championship. Anytime you hang one, that's a beautiful thing. And happy Thanksgiving, Coach. It's been a pleasure chatting with you tonight.
No, thank you for having me. Like I said, I'll pay attention to the show. You do a great job, and I'm very fortunate and appreciative for you to have me on this show. So thank you, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your fans and your family.
Well, that was a lot of fun chatting with Coach Carter about the Torrance Tartars and his experiences with both teams, most notably the Redondo Union Seahawks, who Rio Hondo is playing in the 24th championship game in Rio Hondo's history, which is pretty phenomenal, chasing that 17th Southern Section title, which is, among the best out there in the state of California in the Southern Section. I know it's lower divisions, 8-man, 6-man, but hey, titles are titles. And as you can see, Rio Hondo has climbed the ranks over the years to be in Division 5. It's nothing short of a miracle, and just very fun thing to talk about. But Coach Carter, man, bringing it on the show. Love chatting with him. Can't wait to see him again, and whether it's just running into each other or perhaps playing a future football game. That sounds like a great time as well. So let's look at the Seahawks schedule real quick before we bring on Craig Clingman from the class of 1978, I believe, Rio Hondo, who played in the 1977 triple overtime thriller against Montclair Prep for Rio Hondo's second championship back then. Let's see, second of 16. Wow, that was a long time ago, but Craig Clingman will take us back in time to relive that a little bit and get us juiced up for the big game this Saturday. But let's first look at the Redondo Union Seahawks. They are 9-4 overall. They were 4-1 in the Pioneer League. Their only loss was to Torrance High School, who they did avenge later on in the first round of the Division 5 playoffs. Torrance, of course, was undefeated, 10-0 and 5-0 in league. So tough way to go about their season, as Coach Carter said. But I'm sure they will be back stronger than ever very, very soon. Let's look at Redondo Union. They opened the season. Redondo Union started rather slow, losing their first 3 games. They lost 31-6 at El Dorado over in Placentia. They lost 31-0 to Miracosta over in Manhattan Beach, a home game for Redondo Union, that is. Then they lost on the road 19-17 at Huntington Beach. So tough road trip, a tough team there, the Huntington Beach Oilers. Low scoring, but a 2-point game there. So maybe a good one to go back and look at after kind of being blown out the first 2 games of the season. Huntington Beach comes away with the win there. From there, the Seahawks would turn it around with a 14-12 win against Orange High School. We know them well from the playoffs a few years ago. They then had their biggest win up to date in this point of the season, 35-6 on the road at Banning High School over in Wilmington. So two wins in a row for the Seahawks, 5 games in after starting the season with 3 straight losses. So that would bring them to the halfway point of the season and league play, where they would face off against Torrance, who we mentioned. They lost that game 34-24, so a 10-point loss. Let's see, at home to Torrance High School. And then from then on, they won 4 straight in the regular season, and then of course 3 in the postseason. So 7 straight wins now for the Redondo Union Seahawks. We'll take them through now. The North Torrance. Let's see, North Torrance on the road. They won that game 34-7. They defeated Santa Monica at home 47-7. Took on Peninsula from the Rolling Hills Estates. They beat them 40-21. And then defeated South Torrance 58-21 in the regular season finale. Rather impressive score there. So as you see, kind of, I think if you just look at the scores, this team was getting better and better and better throughout the season, most notably offensively after kind of struggling early on with some lower scores. So not sure what the difference was there, but sometimes it just takes time, right? Takes time, takes reps and experience, film, practice, all those things to kind of put things together. So as Coach Carter mentioned, he says they're playing their best football right now. There's no doubt about that. As the playoffs started a few weeks ago, they avenged their loss to Torrance earlier with a 21-14 win over the Torrance Tartars on the road at the Louis Zamparini Stadium, a very tough place to play, as we know. And man, the 10-0 Tartars were eliminated, and advancing on the regular season was Redondo Union, who I should mention, let's see, 4 losses, so 6-4 to finish out the regular season, a 4-1 league record, as I said earlier. Let's see, that rainy night we all experienced in the second round, the quarterfinals, Redondo Union hung on against St. Paul 14-13. I do remember in that game, St. Paul was driving late, did fumble, I think, inside the 10-yard line. Sloppy, wet night for everyone in the Southern California region, but man, it's survive and advance and find a way to win. I think I posted this game on YouTube, the YouTube link to it on Facebook and Twitter and all that. So go back and check that game out, a hard-fought game. And what's interesting about that is St. Paul, a very run-heavy team, kind of like us. So kind of give you an idea, even though it was in the rain and maybe both teams weren't throwing the ball very well. I think a 14-13 football game in the playoffs will always be somewhat entertaining. So if you haven't had a chance yet, go check that out. And then last week in the semifinal on the road in Los Angeles at Loyola High School, the Seahawks were victorious 21-7 over the Loyola Cubs. A lot of people wanted to see Loyola, Rio Hondo, but hey, we have Redondo Union against Rio Hondo. Let's see, Redondo versus Hondo. There's something in there, some type of a rhyme or alliteration, whatever you want to call it, but it just kind of fits. And man, a nice impressive win there, 21-7 over Loyola. And again, looking at these playoff scores, playing pretty good defense, only allowing 14, 13, 7 points. They're doing really well against the run, from what I can tell, against St. Paul, Torrance, as Coach Carter mentioned, and we know Loyola likes to run the ball pretty well too. So this run defense for the Redondo Union Seahawks is pretty stout, pretty stingy. I know we talked a lot about Lucerna's run defense this last week. This is a whole different level of bodies we're going to see up front. They don't have to blitz and this and that because they have, pretty good bodies up front, but we've seen Rio move bigger bodies before, most notably, Santa Monica, Warren, Vanden, Poway, MLK, some very good defensive teams, especially up front, that Rio Hondo somehow just finds a way. So if Rio Hondo can put together some first downs, can move the ball, I do like Rio's chances in this game. I think Rio Hondo's defense is kind of the wild card there, that I think it's not as it doesn't get as much attention as I think people should to appreciate it. And I think the Rio running game, even if it is slowed down, like we saw against MLK last year, like we saw against Poway, like we saw against Torrance really in the regular season game last year, there have been some teams that were able to slow Rio down and kind of throw some curveballs at him, but that Rio running game does eventually get going. And so we saw it against, again, Vanden and Warren, some very big defensive fronts. And so I'm confident in the Rio the Rio line, the Rio plethora of running backs that we have out there, no matter who's running the ball. The offense seems to find a way, but if they can't, if this running defense is as stout as they say, as it looks on paper, as it looks with the eye test and the giant defensive line, then Rio Hondo's going to have to find a way, man, with other ways. And we saw some touchdown passes from Yannick TS last week. We may see some I don't know, some gadgets. Who knows? This is a championship game. Everything's on the table, right? For the offense, as special teams, defense. There's going to be some unsung heroes, just like there were last week, and that's what really makes this stuff fun. So Rio wants to run the ball. It's going to come right at you. Going to do everything they can. But with this tough defensive front, you got to be prepared. Got to have a backup plan. Got to have other options, because Redondo Union is going to do everything they can to slow down what Rio does well. And on the flip side, Rio Hondo is going to do that exact same thing with the Seahawks, and trying to limit Bo Osmus, number 7, who carries the ball, gets the ball thrown to him, and does it all for this team. Tough, physical runner who's pretty fast as well if he gets out in the open field. And you got Cole Einert, quarterback there, number 11, who can deliver a good ball when it matters most, and has good pedigree, we'll say. Obviously from his background as his father being Matt Leinart and this and that. So we could see some celebrities. I don't know this for certain, but keep your eyes peeled at this game, Redondo Union on Saturday night. We could see some celebrities out there, whether it's Leinart. I heard Pete Carroll's in town, coaching the Chargers against the Chargers on Sunday. I don't know any information. This is sheer speculation on my part. So don't be like, oh, Matt, you said so. No, I don't know anything. I'm just, I'm being a podcast host right now and stirring it up and being like, hey, pretty big game in the Southland. We could see some famous faces. And I think it doesn't even got to be SC related, honestly. I think we're going to see a lot of people, a lot of coaches at this game, a lot of media members. People want to see if Rio Hondo Prep can do it one more time against another juggernaut, another giant, for a third consecutive CIF Southern Section championship. And I'm all here for it. I know you guys are all here for it. And man, it's going to be a blast. So that's enough, I guess, about the Redondo Union Seahawks. We kind of broke them down pretty good with Coach Carter and my just kind of going down their schedule and looking at some game film and things there. But now let's get to our second guest of the night. Take us kind of back in time just for a little bit of, I don't know, what would you call this? To honor the tradition that is Rio Hondo football, look back at kind of some of the earlier days, and obviously one of the biggest championship games in school history. Never fails to kind of look back at the footage of that stuff and to see how far Rio Hondo has come. But you also see a lot of similarities there. You see the toughness, the hustle, the effort, the execution, right? It's fun to connect it all. And again, what these kids are doing in 2025 is a way bigger deal than any of us who've come before them. But they play for all of us who wanted a shot at all these teams when we were just a small school playing small schools football. And it's rather significant and some of the greatest football in Rio history. But we do want to honor the great tradition of Rio Hondo Prep and all that have come before them. So we haven't done much of that the past few weeks because of the playoffs, but it is my honor to bring on a proud member of that 1977 championship team, Craig Clingman, who, again, I've talked to before as a football official, just as a Rio alum, and a guy that follows his team. He was at the game last week, I believe, or he was at the Arroyo game, the game at Arroyo for sure. I'm not sure if I saw him last week, but it's just he's the type of guy. He represents so many of the older generation that continues to come out and watch these guys play on a weekly basis, especially in the postseason. So part of knowing where you're going is knowing where you came from. And, there's a lot of, as Coach Carson says, we stand on the shoulders of giants, guys like Craig Clingman and so many other guys from that great team in 1977. So for what it's worth, let's go back in time, talk with Craig about that game and maybe his perception of Rio Hondo Prep football over the years, and just get us ready once again for the 24th championship game in Rio Hondo Prep's illustrious history. Here he is, our second guest of the night, Craig Clingman. All right. As promised, our second guest tonight is Craig Clingman from the class of 1978 at Rio Hondo Prep. Played in the infamous 1977 triple overtime thriller. Rio Hondo Prep prevailed that night for the school's second CIF championship and the first in the 8-man era. It's been a long time since then, and Rio Hondo has grown to new heights. But let's say hello to Craig and talk some Rio football. Craig Clingman, what's up, man? Good to see you. How are you? Before anything else, happy Thanksgiving, sir.
Happy Thanksgiving. My age, just happy to be alive and healthy, and nice seeing you, Matt.
I recently saw you at Arroyo High School at the second quarterfinal game against Troy, and it was pouring rain. And I don't know how many games you've been to this year, Craig, but you decided, you know what, it's pouring rain. That seems like a perfect time to come out to a Rio Hondo game.
Well, Division 5, which is crazy. I myself personally, I would never imagine. Long Beach Milliken's in there. When I was a senior, Arcadia played Long Beach Milliken for the championship. Arcadia lost. Long Beach Milliken was 4A. That was the top division. And they're in your guys' division. Like I just can't even imagine. So I really wanted to see it like, oh man, I don't know how good these Division 5 teams are. And I don't know why I missed that first one, but I said, I got to go. So I didn't want to say I didn't see any game. I got there and domination 3-1. It's crazy.
We'll get to your days here soon, Craig. But I just want to ask, in watching this current team, you saw them in a playoff game in the rain. Didn't seem to miss a beat. They dominated the game. What does it mean to you as an alumni, seeing where Rio Hondo has grown and just seeing how impressive these current young men are? You've been out of high school a long time, but a lot of this stuff never leaves us. There's still a small part of us, right? But and just seeing this current team and kind of what they're doing, carrying on the legacy.
Yeah. And you know what? I don't know any players personally, but there are so many connections. Matt said, is this true? That fast guy in the last game that tackled that guy from behind, the guy still scored. Was that Philip Hampton's grandson?
That was Rain Pollock. Yes, that was Rain Pollock.
Crazy. Okay. So Mr. Philip, he was my main coach throughout my deal. But so many times, Mark Carson, who I coached as a little first grader. And what's the most important position in baseball for 5 and 6 year olds if you're going to win a game? What position?
Oh man, I would say first base.
First base.
Yes.
Mark Carson was not the best guy. He was second best. And we're at the championship game. The best guy, it might even have been Mark Loretta. I get the years mixed up. Mark Loretta within a few years. Mark Loretta, he was pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mark Loretta paid for the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Brewers. Anyhow, whoever wasn't there, we got, all we have is Mark Carson. And he wasn't bad, but he wasn't as good as whatever superstar we had that couldn't play first base. So, okay, Mark, you can do it. And all I remember was he was the reason they won the championship. And I think it was first grade, but he won the championship because of Mark. So all these tie-ins, another tie-in with the Carson family. Todd Carson used to do junior high. Talk about reffing. I forgot all the rules. I just knew that when you do something bad, I'll see it and they call a flag. So they were playing. My son was going to Calvary Marietta, and I think they were playing 8-man. So I didn't know how many yards of them. Whether it's from the infraction, line of scrimmage, whatever. I forgot all that stuff. So I'm reffing on the Rio Hondo side, and Calvary's on the other side. I'm supposed to be helping them, not cheating for them, but I'm reffing for them, right? I'm there. So every time I threw the flag, the Carson family, they're like superstars. Yeah. So Todd's over there. And so I walked by the flag, like talking to the chain. Hey, Mark, or Todd, how many yards is that for you? Okay, thanks. So
I remember that well, Craig. I was an assistant coach at that time, and I remember the name. Yeah, I was the name. We were playing out at Murrieta, and you were doing the officiating thing, and I remember hearing your name, Craig Clingman, because my coaches, I grew up with Gary Shintaku, Mike Murphy. I've known about the 77 game so many different times, and I know everyone on that roster, and I was like, Craig Clingman, he was on that team, and so it was so funny. Like, I hadn't quite got into officiating yet at the high school level and this and that, but I remember moments like that and helping Todd out, like, hey, that's 10 yards, this, that. Fun memories for sure.
Fun memories. So a lot of tie-ins. So seeing those players, what I do tie in with, even though I didn't really know any of those players, what's expected of them. I noticed in the games, and I could be wrong, but it seems like Rio Hondo always seems to get less penalties. The Blue Jays baseball, the guy doesn't know if he ball 3 or 4, and they made 3 huge mental mistakes. And in all that whole series, you're going to make physical mistakes, but the mental mistakes you just can't. And you might still do it, but you want to minimize that, and that comes with practicing. So I noticed these teams, man, they're a machine. And quite honestly, I watch these games and like, man, is that the best that Division 5 has? I think what I'm taking for granted is I don't even realize yet how good the Rio Hondo team is, because number 31, I forget his name, he runs
Noah.
like Eric Dickerson. Eric Dickerson's coach thought he was lazy because just the way he ran, he looked like he was running lazy. This guy does not look that fast, and he just breaks away and runs like he's fast. But I don't appreciate all this because they make it look so easy.
Yeah.
So I'm just amazed at Mark, all these coaches, Randy, that tie and his dad being my coach. These guys are just great guys, and I can tell these players, they are set for the game, well prepared.
They're prepared. They play hard. They play smart. They play with class. They if they make mistakes, they correct them. And what I've always just tried to point out on the podcast here, Craig, is that these guys represent us, and they understand that they represent God, their families, and us alums. And it's one of the most beautiful things about Rio football is that no matter what era you play in, you're playing for the eras before you. And as you progress into adulthood and beyond, you still look back at these kids. You said right there, you don't even know any of them, but they wear the same uniforms that we once did.
Same philosophy. Yeah.
Yeah. If you could speak to the pride of that, just Rio Hondo Prep Football, you haven't been out, you've been out of high school a long time, but you still come back and watch kids that you don't know, but they wear your uniform.
Yes. Oh, I'll tell you, the pride is you have, they say in education, I'm a teacher, the best school setup is a one-room schoolhouse, because you get your older kids. And so you got your 5-year-olds looking at your 6-year-olds, look at your 8-year-olds, look at your 10, and up to the adults. Big farmer boys in a one-room schoolhouse. Same way here. I remember, I went down at halftime. I went to use the restroom because I drink a lot of water. I'm good. Try to stay young. I got to be able to strike out my 10 grandkids when they're 10 years old. So I try to stay fit. And these kids are running down along the bleachers like, 7, 8 years old. I don't know if they're going to even watch a play. That was me under the bleachers at Field 1, under the visitor bleachers. Great place to play football. And we used to do that. So some of my years as a kid, I'd watch some, but I'd go play. But I knew what it was. I remember seeing, players getting injured and carried off the field. Chuck Miller, Gary Miller, I think, had like a back injury. And like, I was fearful, like, but it's a big game. So it's like, I don't know, there was risk, danger, but you're in it for the school. I had fun with my friends underneath. And you start seeing like, okay, that was a little kid stage of me. And then when I was like 6th grade, Steve Rasmussen, we couldn't go on Field 1, but I was like 10, and Steve Rasmussen, I'll never forget this. He was a coach, high school guy. I'd go and watch him play, and Steve Rasmussen would throw balls to me in the corner of the end zone, and I'd try to keep my feet in, right? You're trying to dive and catch it with your feet in. And I'm not kidding, at 10 years old with a high school kid throwing balls, that was like a dream. It was like, I can't believe it. So I'd always say, hey, Steve, could you be there next Saturday? And he would do it. Like, what high school kid nowadays, maybe his punk brother, but he didn't really know me. I liked him, and I'd always bug him, and he would go play with me. So a guy named Gary Huey played 6-man football again. After the game, we'd go run and try to tackle him after the game. And so all of that, by the time I got into high school, I was already coaching. So I know those people were watching us. And so whether we won or lost the game, you had to show respect. You had to play by the rules. You had to be, there wasn't any, for me, there wasn't any pressure. I've always wanted to win. Is more like I just had to keep my head, and I couldn't let my team down. I couldn't let the people in the stands down. And I see that with them. Those guys, they keep their head, and that's kind of demanded of you at Rio Hondo.
Yeah, and a lot to unpack there, but I think the tradition of being that young kid looking up to the high school players, and then eventually you blink and you're that high school kid and you see you have the eyes on you, right? Of the the kids looking up, and we still see it to this day. Kids taking pictures with their heroes at the time, and then going out and emulating them on Saturday in their Care Youth League games, and
Yes.
then you eventually become an older guy, and you look back, and we're still cheering for these guys, and it's this constant cycle, right, of Rio Hondo
Yes.
Prep fandom and alumni heritage and pride and all that.
Yeah. 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 Very much so. The only thing I can't relate to is how good these guys are. Like, we had skills, but not, Mr. Johnson. I love Mr. Johnson, but he made a lot of mistakes. Baseball, I love baseball. He made mistakes in baseball, but he's very good, right?
Yeah.
But he's just a man. But like Mark, he's and nothing down on Mr. Johnson. He was like opened up, like you said. I heard you saying one of the things. Some of the plays they still have for what he had and what he did great. Mark took all that, everything he grew up with, and now he extended it, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely a new era of Rio football, but there's still some of the things you see. You're like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that type of play we used to run or whatever. And so it's kind of a blending of the worlds, if you were old school, new school. But we're still who we are. We still are the Rio Hondo Prep Cares. We sing that alma mater. There's so much pride that goes into that. Craig, I want to go back to 1977 or any time there in high school for you when you were on varsity, and I know there were some tough playoff losses before the 77 game, but if you could, everyone can see that banner in the Stivers Center, 77 and all the names on it. But if you could take us back in time to that era and kind of the build up to that game, maybe the playoff losses, just real football in the late 70s, take us back there if you could.
Well, I remember I saw the thing with Steve Martin in there. 72 football. I was their bat boy in 7th grade. So I got to see this for baseball, but for football, I don't know if you remember watching some of those Laker games with Kobe when it's cold against Celtics. It was a miserable game to watch. They tied Brethren early in the season, and the score was like 58-58. I mean, it's crazy. They tied, so you knew it was going to be a tight game. And Jim Struck really did. He took a lot of heat for missing some extra points. But the bottom line is he put his heart out there. Like, so I remember seeing those brutal losses where it was so close. And then seeing really, I looked at it as really, I know it sounds odd, but that was the go-getter team. They were tough. The first win for Rio Hondo, Brethren moved on to a higher division. And when Rio Hondo beat Flint Ridge, that was great. It was very satisfying, I think, to see them finally do it. But Steve Martin, like he was the man. I don't know anybody. I haven't seen anybody in those 6-man days run like Steve Martin. He was amazing, just as a kid watching. But and all those other players were great. I'm just saying, Steve Martin, wow, he's just crazy. But then after 73 or Jim Parker's year, he was a junior and he ran the ball like him and Steve Hershey. When they won that year, the next year, now that those guys graduated, they started 8-man. Jim Parker, they got clobbered. It was terrible. Like, man, Flint Ridge, some of these, they just got clobbered. Flint Ridge is definitely going after revenge the next year. Yeah. And so there were these ups and downs which is amazing here. Rio's going for 3, right? But I know there's usually ups and downs in any high school. So after seeing that, coming up, there were some tough years. And I would say this, my parents moved. So I was going to get to be quarterback for the JVs, my junior. I was a little guy. I had a good arm, but little guy. I was so excited to be junior quarterback. I thought for JVs, I thought, I'm going to dominate. And then we moved. So I didn't know until April the next year that my parents said, okay, you can go live with the Kirbys and play your senior year. So I was so excited, right?
Wow.
Well, during all that time, I went down and I saw the game where they played Montclair. When I saw that game, I was so happy I was in the stands. Like I felt like I was watching an NFL game where these guys were just so above me. And I saw Matt Rodericks and Mike Murphy down there. I don't know if they got the play. I hope they would have got hurt. No, I'm just teasing. But those guys. This is my take. We had an injured Ken Fuller our senior year, and he was good for being injured, but he was injured.
Stud.
I think that year with Dan Kirby, John Dunya, Jim Key, Peter Amundsen, Greg
Oh,
Loomis, those animals
this would have
with,
been 76, right? Your junior,
yeah, the
76.
year they lost 30 to
Wow.
28, and they did run back that kick down the sidelines. And then our
Oh,
class as juniors, I think that was, and people might disagree with me, but I saw that game and I thought Montclair but I thought they had a much better line that year. Their quarterback McCravey was. I mean, they had some animals, and they still had the juniors. So, I'm very happy we won, but I have much respect. That class with Dan Kirby and those guys, those were some serious athletes. And Ken Fuller, no joke. I mean, Kenny Healthy, probably best player of any of the guys on any team out there. But anyhow, so coming in, I was just happy because my dad had. They said I wasn't eligible because I had moved. So my dad, I remember the little payphone right by the office. My dad called and said, "Hey, I'm calling for my son. He's a little guy. He ain't any good. He just wants to be on the team. He's played there every year except last year because we moved, and he moved back down with the Kirbys. That's his address." And then Mr. Johnson called because he didn't want us to forfeit. He called and they said, "Oh no, he can't play." Well, Mr. Johnson, so well, that's what they said. I don't blame him because he's got to be cautious. So my
yeah.
dad and Mr. Johnson got on the phone together the next day, called together, and then they said yes, I could play. So well, the reason I would hate that is I had to do this. I had to be. I was second string quarterback. I couldn't have taken the punishment. I was too small, but I had a good arm. I could pass for good. So for Wednesday night practice, guess who played against the starting defense all the time? Yeah, and
Oh, yeah.
I thought, I can't believe I'm not going to get to play in any games. I'm going to get killed on Wednesday nights for nothing. I don't even like football. I like the games, but I hated the practices. So when we got in there, I'm so happy to play. And then first downs, the other team had, I forget who we played to start the season. They marched down the field and scored. And I just thought, because you don't know how good you are, right? You're practicing. When they scored right away, I thought, oh no, we're one of those lousy teams. Oh no. I thought, we were no good. So that was the beginning of a wonderful season.
Yeah, yeah. The 77 team coming in after the tough loss in 76. And you mentioned all those great names, who I know they were devastated losing. And, your heart goes
And
out
Mike
to
McGarren
guys.
had broken ribs. Mike McGarren got a look out, like a little sideline out. And this guy, I forget which
Mike McGarren.
one of those black corners, they are fast. And they had about
Boom.
three guys, and they just boom, broke his ribs. And the coach picks him, way to go. And Mike said he can't even breathe. Watching Dan Kirby and them in the locker room. I don't know what I was doing after the game, but man, bad shoulder. They were broken, but
Dude's busted.
it was so mentally tough.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, 77, I believe you guys lost to Montclair Prep in the regular season.
Yes.
And that was the only
Do you
loss.
know how we lost that at the end?
Go ahead. Tell us.
There was a punt, and
That's
Scott,
right.
he
That's
got
right.
and probably me personally, I wouldn't even have a guy catch a punt at the end of the game like that because it's just too much pressure. I saw Elsevier lose at Centennial. The guy dropped the punt and the kickoff. It was about 2001 for the championship. Same guy dropped. So Scott was backpedaling. I don't know if he turned around or backpedaled, but either way, you could tell. Just get out of the way. It's hard to catch punts.
Tough
Just
play.
go back, boom, right off his helmet.
Oh, man.
And they got the ball with about, I don't know, a minute left on like the 15 or 20, or I don't know, and they scored. That was the game.
So that was the only loss of the
20. So we felt, this is what I felt. Some people feel like they were quite honestly, we were at 31-20 at half. I think we choked the game a little bit, but everything still, we eked it out.
So you had the big lead. They came out on top, which is, hey, as history goes. So you just fast forward into the championship game, if we could. You are one loss team. They are undefeated. They have beat you before. Rio Hondo's never won an 8-man championship at this time in its history, and they come to Care Field, and rumor has it they bring this they hired a videographer,
Yes.
professional filming crew to document their big win that they were going to have. So
Which
if you
was
could take
rare to have any footage. Yeah, go ahead.
absolutely, if you could, Craig, take us to that night in 1977 and the championship game that would come to go down in Rio history.
I remember talking to Chuck Mariotti not before the game, and Chuck, he was quite a stud. I mean, him and Gary Shintaku were the runners, and Kenny somebody, he's mainly to bluff them because they were afraid of Kenny, just him being out there, which is amazing what power he had. But Chuck said, I just got to, they're going to try to spear me. I'm just going to keep my head a little lower than their head going up the middle. I remember him talking about that, and he said, I'm just going to make sure my head stays a little lower than theirs. But going into the game, I didn't feel any quite honestly, because I'd been usually quarterback a lot when I was a younger kid, and some of the JV games I did play quarterback. So to me, receiver, we didn't pass a lot. I was mainly going to block and go out for some passes. I didn't feel any pressure. I was excited, and the same with the kicking. We went through Mike McGarren, the hiker, John Kershaw, the holder, and me kicking. We kicked 50 kicks every single day. I was just confident.
Wow.
Like I knew I would make it. The only one time I wouldn't make it was if one time the ball didn't make it on the tee. What's funny is when you're kicking, nobody in the stands knows how the hike or the hold went. It's just when it's kicked, you're good or you're
Yep.
bad. So
Yep.
when it's off the tee, you try to still make it, but then they're like, oh, he's no good. So I didn't even worry about that. My biggest thing was because I was a toe kicker. So as soon as we scored, I ran and put my shoe on and got out there. So it wasn't even a matter of thinking about it, just no
So
pressure.
you just switch shoes back then. But I mean, that takes some
Yeah.
time. You only got, a very limited amount of time. So you got to run
I
over
know.
and switch
And I had-
shoes
yeah.
every time.
Yeah, I think I only got 4 tackles on kickoffs because it was like roll upside, and that shoe was different than my Puma cleat, and so
I've seen those shoes. It's like a squared toe, right? For the toe kickers.
yeah.
Wow.
Yes. And you can't really miss, like if you don't have a good kicker at all, it might look ridiculous, but get them one of those shoes and a good athlete, they can make it. They just got to practice it. Yeah. They
So
might
was
not kick
that-
a 40-yarder, but
famously in 1972, Rio scored more touchdowns than brethren, but missed on the extra points. And back then it was 2 points for kicks. So to this day, Mr. Casey Clevenger, who was, on that team and lost, he buys in and out for the center, holder, and kicker if they go perfect on extra points, not almost, or one is blocked or they miss one. And he gets in and out burger lunch for those guys if they are perfect. So from watching those guys in 72 kind of come up short, did you kind of step forward and take pride in this whole place kicking thing, or how did that all come about?
You know what? Well, I went to Camino Grove Elementary in Arcadia, and in 6th grade, my front yard, I grew up on 10th Avenue. You know that the Pilgrim Way gang, Mike Murphy, I lived down on 10th.
Okay.
Between Duarte and Live Oak. So about a half mile from where Doug and Mike and them. We had 3 trees in our front yard. And I'm not kidding. I don't know why, but since I was about 10, seeing them kick field goals, I loved it. So I tried to make it over the 3 trees. That was the beginning. And then when they had this contest at Camino Grove for field goal kicking, I won that. And I just loved it. And then Mr. Lammers, I was on the Chiefs, 8th grade, and we were stout. We had Chuck Miller, Chuck Mariotti, Scott Wyden, all these guys, Mike McGarren.
Wow.
We had Jay said, okay, whoever wants to try out for field goal kicking. Well, I was a little guy. I wasn't very strong. And we used a knee pad for the tee. Well, it was hard to kick off the knee pad. So I kicked. I wasn't very good. And so we were playing on the 5-yard end zones, which made a big deal on field 0 where the gym is now. So Jay said, okay, Kenny, you can kick. Then if you miss, Chuck, you can kick. If you miss, I said, hey, if they miss, could I kick? He said, well, okay. I know she's thinking he's no good, but I had a 2-inch tee, right? So I'm thinking, so Kenny could kick it, 40 yards, junior high, and so could Chuck. But Kenny missed. Then we scored again. Chuck missed, and then he let me kick. and I made it. And he said, okay, you can kick again. I made it. I think I made 3 out of 4 because we scored a lot of touchdowns. And I'm not kidding, Matthew. That night, I mean, I've played different types of games, whatever, and we've won different times. That night, I dreamt of kicking full field. It was so fun. Matter of fact, I wasn't even allowed to kick the senior year because even though I'd kicked, even 8th grade football, Mr. Lee had me kick the extra points because there are 2 points because we did 6-man flag against the other schools. And then on the weekends, I would kick for the Chiefs. And then I kicked our sophomore year. But I was gone junior year. So when I came back, I had these pointed Puma cleats, little point, not good for toe kicking. And Mr. Johnson brought me out. Okay, Clingman, you got one chance. I shanked it. And that was it. For the next 8 games, I didn't. So I still kicked 50 a day because I loved it. And I thought, well, in case they ever need me, I kicked 50 a day. And so finally, I think the last league game, he said, okay. And then Chuck said, we were sharing after a while. And Chuck said, just have Clingman kick. So I didn't go both ways. I only played a little enough defense to get touchdown behind me. So he finally got to kick, and my what I'm really proud of isn't the field. I mean, I'm happy to make the extra points, but I'm really proud of even though it's 50 yards, I got in the end zone every time except for one. Because I remember the year before, I think it was Joe Jones ran it back, just untouched down the sideline because we didn't kick it in the end zone. So I got every in there except the one time. So I was proud of that.
Yeah, you just good message there. Moral of the story: stay ready, and you never know when your time will be. Now there's something about you kick extra points or you kick 50 a day. All right, you this or that, carry thing. But man, when Chuck Mariotti takes that trick play, with under 2 minutes left, and he dives in the end zone and he's gets real within 1 point in a miraculous moment. I'm sure it's going crazy there. Then to go in and have to kick the game tying extra point, that had to be nerve wracking. Or did you just be like, oh, this is just like being in the backyard?
You know what? And I'm not bragging because I did miss a field goal that game, and I would have been the GOAT if they had a roughing the kicker. Then I got to kick it again.
That's right.
I would have been the GOAT. So I have nothing against Jim Struck. Like, dude, that can happen. But actually, that last one, again, running to get my shoe on, I was so confident making those extra points. It'd just be like you and me in a room and saying, if you catch it, then you win. It was that easy. Like, wow. You know what's nice about kicking? It's not like a free throw. You got to have touch. If you're too nervous, boom, you hit the heel or whatever. Kicking, you can kick it as hard as you want. So that one I just felt really good. The funny thing is we played Ambassador. Now, Ambassador, that 73 team that won the championship, Charlie Parsons got a concussion against Ambassador. They had some really big, strong guys, and they just beat up our team. Again, I'm watching this as a 8th grader or whatever, just beat up our team. And it was so fun to go back to Ambassador, kind of getting revenge. And they had a good team, and they were physical, but I just said, okay, we should win this game. It made a big difference? Talking about technically, Steve Martin, we never did the button hook before. And it was kind of frustrating because guys would play me really deep, and we didn't have a play, just turn around. So Steve brought that in. Steve Martin started working with the receivers in the playoffs, and that really helped coming up with patterns. And that's how basic we were. So we did some button hooks. And it's funny, the kicking that game, I do my regular step back. And John Krishoni, supposed to be 7 yards. Well, he realized this was a field goal. This was maybe 35 yards. Well, he realized he was too close, so he moved the tee back a little bit. I didn't see him move the tee. So when I went up to kick, I was so far under it. It was like a Charlie Brown kick. And they had like a little 2x6 for the crossbar. And it was just a cheesy kick. Like I could have kicked it probably 45, 50 yards. I was feeling really good. And boink, and it bounced over the crossbar. And I felt like I was Charlie Brown, but that was pride.
No doubt. Well, if you could, just that championship game, Mariotti ties it on the trick play. What a call by Coach Johnson. You guys tie it after a crazy game. I mean, they had 2 running backs go over 200 yards against you guys, just back and forth. Many people say, despite, the Vanden game from last year, that this is the greatest game in Rio Hondo history. And I've watched it on YouTube many different times. But when you go into overtime and it's kind of back and forth and you finally get to that triple overtime, and I think it's Mariotti into the end zone for the walk-off win.
Yeah.
I mean, just talk to me about that moment, or all those moments, really, they just kind of tied together for the big win.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, it was really frustrating because, like I said, we were ahead 31-20. So we scored 4 touchdowns and they scored 3 the first half. And then we didn't score. We didn't score till that end. So we choked a little bit. We fumbled. We deserved to lose if it happened. We made enough mistakes, right? Like, you can't play like that against those guys. But Chuck Mariotti, I remember I went down the field maybe 10 yards and I was on the side he was running. They almost got him. I forget their corners who were sucking in so hard. We had good blocking, so they had to have like 6 guys on the line just going for it. Totally faked him out. I think we even did that earlier in the game and it didn't work. Yeah. And so the mistake I think they made was we were not going to, well, just like this team now, even though they do breakaways, a running team, you're not going to get down there than some passing quarterback down there. So just time, I think time would have run out. If they would have let us keep getting 3 yards a shot, time would have run out. We needed a big play. So I don't know why anyhow, they just come running in, and the guy coming in from the left side, left corner, whatever, you could tell he's running so hard, he jumped out like he couldn't turn in time. So he kind of jumped out and Chuck got around him. And I remember because there were 2 fast guys, probably Joe Jones, maybe, I don't know, they had some fast cats out there. And these guys were just running. And here's Chuck coming right by me. And I'm trying to get one of them. I think I missed both of them. I'm trying to get I didn't know, just like, oh. And so I was no good on that. And he just goes running and just turn around. I think, oh, they're going to get him. And then he just dove. Like, I didn't expect him to dive. I don't think they expected it. He just dove. And that was such a great feeling because I thought, oh man, unless something changes, this is it. I just didn't see an end to it. I saw us running out of time. So, then the overtime. Oh man, well, I was just happy that we're in the overtime. But that tackle where the guy got tackled on the goal line, I could not see whether it was a touchdown or not, and people still debate it either way. But
oh yeah, Mr. Greg Bollinger, I think, made that tackle, right? It's a sophomore. Yeah. I talked to him about that a few years ago.
Actually, that might have been at the end of the game before that we started marching. I forget.
That's right. No, plays, you guys are down 7. Montclair's going in under 5 minutes left. They're on the goal line, and if they score to go up 14, it's over. You guys stop him on 4th down. He bounces in the end zone. They rule him short. You guys end up going on a 79-yard drive.
Okay, so that was a heartbreaker, and then they stopped him, and so. The overtime, I felt confident. We did it twice. I was in one time where we just did a tailback option, and one Chuck couldn't get it up. I was open. He couldn't get the ball up in time. Otherwise, we would have scored again. But it's like they rushed everybody. I mean, anytime I went out, and then they were doing that option, they never covered, and they had to cover the run because we were good on the run. They had to play 6 guys at it. So I scored one time, and then we did the same thing on the other side to Dave McClellan, and he went in he was a very good receiver. I don't know why I got to play over him. I'm glad I did. But Dave McClellan was a very good athlete. And and then that interception by Jimmy, the quarterback,
Jim Hanna, big interception.
Jim Hanna, very good interception. And I don't know why they kicked an extra point. I don't know why they didn't kick during the games because they only made a 2-pointer.
And who knows how that would have. If you look at that game and the scoring and the field goal, the 2-point.
Yeah,
that's it.
And it was a good kicker.
Oh, he was. Yeah. It's again, I've watched this film a million times and I feel like I was there sometimes, but everyone I've talked to, Craig, says that, I mean, guys just say, oh, there's nothing that game, the intensity, the back and forth. I mean, we've seen some amazing, the Santa Monica game to me rivals that one from a couple of years ago. I don't know.
Did the last play I was there. That was crazy.
Yeah, right. I mean, that was insane. I mean,
Yeah.
we've had some insane, crazy football games over the decades for
Yeah.
Rio Hondo.
Well, that one last year, that was the only team. Last year was the only team I saw that won from up north. They seemed like the better team. Like, oh man, it's just a matter of time. And Rio Hondo hung in there and hung. I'm happy they went for two because
Me too.
I just thought we're just hanging in there, and that was a tough game. But I was proud of those kids. I'll tell you, no one likes to lose, but I'll tell you that was a tough game because they seemed like, man, they seemed strong, everything. And we hung in there till the end. That was amazing to go that far.
That state championship, I mean, literally a yard, and I think that has been the fuel for these guys going into this season, and they're on another magical run. And to kind of tie it all in now with you've dropped a lot of names on us and memories and things like that. It's just kind of that's what just been the theme of all this is like we're getting fired up for a huge game on Saturday night, Redondo Union. Every year we're having, this is the biggest game in Rio Hondo's history, and it's fun to kind of have that all the time. But having played in arguably the biggest game in school history at the time, once upon a
Yes,
time, to where we're at now, Craig, I mean, it just has to be phenomenal to be a part of it and just see how far the program has come.
it is. I'm so proud of them. I tell everybody at school, Matt Hodges, he played at Elsinore. He's a good athlete. And I was telling about it. I said, Elsinore's in Division 8. I said, these guys are in Division 5, and they got like 83 kids. It was really so I've been showing I haven't shown you, but I'm going to show them some footage. I'm just so proud of them. It's just amazing. It's amazing how far you can go when you're persistent. And I like that people want to play at Rio. It's quality. Like
Yeah.
uh, hey, I love to go surfing. Weekends usually. I went surfing this morning, had a great time, and I'll tell you what. A lot that I do in that. I'm old, right? I won't be a pro surfer, but I want to get better every time. I did a late drop in today. I want to be better on that, and so silly. Except it makes me happy, and I realize I think in sports, one to me, football's a little scary, right? I've seen people get up. Brian Kyle, I wish he would have played our senior year. Everybody was afraid of Brian Kyle because he would just spear everybody. And I thought it's a little scary, but you're going to put out your best. You want to make other people happy. You're accountable to your team. And that's what's nice, especially about football. It's a little scary, but you got to put it out on the line. And if you're willing to take risks, that can be a huge reward. And Mark has those guys mentally, he has them wired in there. And he's such a good, all those Carsons, they're superstars.
Not a bad note to kind of wrap this thing up on. Appreciate that, man. You got you got to be whatever your age is, Craig. I mean, you don't look it, and you got all this energy about you, man. You got some energy, and it's great to see. As we close things out, Craig, if you could, Rio Hondo Prep Football. You know what? Why is it special? Why it continues to mean so much to you as someone who played so many years ago? You got grandkids and all kinds of important things now, but in looking back and just looking forward as to why is this program special and just kind of why is it different? If you had to sum it up in a few paragraphs, what would you say about Rio Hondo Prep Football and why it is so great?
Lifelong lessons, valuable lessons, giving for others. We used to play the eighth graders until 2 years ago. I went from the middle school. I'm at a different school. We used to play the eighth graders on Friday. And if I beat them down on, like, we're going down on offense. If I beat some guy down, give me 5 push-ups because you're young. I'm a senior and I beat you down the court, So one kid, this is what blew my mind. The kid said, "What's it matter?" Meaning, I want him to be the best he can be. And he says, "What's it matter?" I said, "I'll tell you what's it matter. I might get a heart attack right now, but we're going to beat you silly by the time this day's over. Like, be the best you can be." Mr. Lunny in band, right? He was our defense. One of the best statisticians I've ever seen was Mr. Lunny. He'd get mad. I think they made him go up in the up above. He couldn't be down the sidelines because they get too mad. But he was a status. He knew what was going on in the game.
Yeah.
probably straight out of Vietnam. That's why it was so tough. But these lifelong lessons, be the best you can be, because you know what? That's a fun way to live. I have two goals to stay in shape, and this came from Rio Hondo on here. I want to strike out all my grandkids when they're 10, so I got to stay in shape. I used to pitch a little bit. And then I want to be able to go out and surf with them when I'm old. So, like just going to these games, it gets me excited to see like Mr. Phillips' grandson. That kid is, my wife said it didn't look real. He just flew out of there. So that was it. Lifelong lessons, and you learn to give to others. And that's where happiness really comes from, doing your best and serving others.
Amen. Craig Clingman, appreciate that. Great way to take us into Thanksgiving, the CIF Championship in Division 5. I'm pretty fired up now as I was earlier today, even more now. So after talking to you, my friend, it's great to see you. Are you going to make the trip out to Redondo Beach or what?
We are going to get a hotel over there because when I get back, I'm always like hungover for 2 days. Like I'm just like, oh. So because I've got a long drive. So we're going to go over there Saturday. I might go see Matt Roderick's over there, maybe Mike Murphy. We'll usually get together and eat, see the game, and then we'll get a hotel so I don't have to do a long drive. So that'll be our celebration from the big game.
I love it. I love it. Fantastic. Great energy, Craig. I look forward to seeing you there. Rio Hondo Prep Football is in a great place, and it has a lot to do with the current team and everything, but a lot also to do with the great alumni and all the people that continue to support this program. It's a special place, a special community, and I'm glad you are a part of it, my friend. Thanks for coming on tonight on the Charge to Keep podcast, Craig.
Thank you, Matthew. And anytime. You're great. You're a great interviewer. You take care.
Well, another long show here on the Charge to Keep podcast, but when we are in the postseason, most notably later in the postseason, it seems fitting to go the extra mile, have a little bit more content. There's already been a ton of content this week already with the Robledo and Aram Talegian Twitter Spaces predictions that I put out earlier on Monday. Some more content. Coach Carson being on the Fatal Factor on YouTube on Monday night. You can go back and watch that anytime as well. Be sure to check that out. This episode I know will be out on Thanksgiving morning. It is recorded obviously a few days before that, but happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. I think we have so much to be grateful for as the RHP football fans, alumni, friends, family, whoever you are. I mean, you can't help but feel blessed watching this team play. And I know that win or lose on Saturday night, we're going to be proud of these guys once again. Just the ride has been truly phenomenal. I don't think it's over yet, but we're going to see a very tall task ahead. I hope you guys bring your energy, cheer these guys on. From the moment they step on that field until the final whistle, it's going to be a battle. These guys are going to bring it. They're seasoned. We got experience. We got execution. We got that Rio Hondo magic. We got Rio Hondo Nation coming out for this game. And these guys and their families, they understand that they play for so many people that came before them. And honestly, I would give nothing more than to put this jersey on for real one more time and put that helmet on and to go out there and give my very best for, however long the snap goes or the play goes. So those guys are playing for us now for those of us that can no longer do it. And we just live through you guys. And it's so fun to watch the Rio Hondo Prep Cares do their thing. So as far as the end of the show here, my explanation point, nothing too great into detail because it's been a long show, of course, but just in case you guys didn't notice, last week, we in the semifinals, the CIF has gone to 7 officials for the semis and the finals. Usually you have 5 officials out there in high school games, and where you add the 2 extra officials is on the sidelines, but deep down about 20 yards off the ball, a side judge and a field judge. And those officials really help in a lot of cleanup situations. You may see more coverage, we'll say, more eyes in the passing game where you might see a hold or something early on. Typically when the ball gets thrown, right, everyone's eyes goes to it, and so you see pass interference. But those guys, deep side officials, they get good looks really for things that happen maybe before the ball's in the air, or for good dead ball officiating, meaning, cleaning up the plays, making sure there's no late hits, and also communication. They're the communicators. I used to be those positions in college and a time or two, and you hustle in, you should be communicating with the coaches. So, in I guess summing it up, with 7 officials, there should be more more eyes on potential penalties. Again, that doesn't mean there's going to be more holding penalties on the offensive line or this and that, because those guys aren't watching in that area. So just because there are more officials, don't expect more flags. It's more of a presence, which I think is a good thing, especially in the postseason, to have more guys out there than less. So it's having a presence. It's cleaning things up. It's talking people out of fouls. That's one thing people don't understand, is so much of officiating is, hey, I saw that play. Talking to the players, hey, if you go a little bit more there, a little more of a grab, I'm gonna have to throw it. Or hey, you jammed him at the line. You got to let him go. You got to let him get a free release. Whatever it is, there's a lot of talking to the players. The umpires talking to our offensive linemen all the time. Hey, if you kind of grabbed him there, let him go. There's a lot of that going on, and it's again, no one wants to see a ton of flags in championship games. The officials don't want to throw a lot of flags in championship games. Besides, what the narratives are sometimes, and how these officials just want it to be about them. In all my time doing this, I don't know too many guys where that was the case. There were some, I'll be honest, but not officials. They'll go out there to be like, hey, I want everyone to look at me and me throwing flags. They don't want to do that. Most of the guys, when you throw that flag, you want it to be there. You want it to be a big one. And trust me, we've already talked about alligators and lizards and those types of fouls. The officials are doing their very best to make sure there's not a ton of flags. If there are a ton of flags, either they're being very literal in the rules, letter of the law versus spirit of the law, or potentially they need to clean a game up because guys are running their mouths, guys are late and hitting late, whatever. So sometimes the game calls for a lot of fouls, and it's not always the official's fault. So let's remember that going into the championship game on Saturday night. The officials will make some mistakes. So will we. So will the Seahawks. We hope that both teams and all three teams have relatively clean games and keep the mistakes limited. So going to be a fun game. I'm excited for it. I know you guys are. Let's get out there early. It's an away game. Get down there, beat the traffic. I know it's Thanksgiving weekend, so get down there, get a bite to eat maybe, and let's matriculate into the school and whenever it opens for us, and fill that bleacher that is you guys think is a little small. Well, let's see how small it is, and get the Rio Nation out there. Hopefully a lot of people down on the sideline, alumni and stuff down there as well. But in closing, I just want to say thank you to all of you. I get thanked all the time for the show, and honestly, I tell you, it's a lot of work, but it's a blessing, and it really lifts my spirits. And just to see it continue to grow with the podcast numbers, every time we win, we're getting new people. What Coach Carter, he was a follower a couple years ago, and it's just been awesome to see Rio Hondo grow. The coverage of it, the name recognition, because it's always been there. It's just kind of like, hey, here we are. This is us. And there's a humility to it. We want to remember that at all times. Stay humble, stay hungry, and always represent, the things that are important to us. Be a care at all times. That's got to be a constant reminder. So to the boys, man, you guys are a blessing to so many. Keep it up. To your families, thanks for raising such great young men. To the coaches, to the administrators, to everyone affiliated with Rio Hondo Prep. Let's keep this thing going, and let's do it right on Saturday night. I believe the Cares can do this. There are many who doubt that they can for whatever reason. Maybe they haven't seen enough proof. It's not going to be easy if they are able to do it. But if we put our best foot forward, play Rio Hondo football, act like Cares, and go in it with a chip on our shoulder that we want to shock the world once again. Oh man, it could be fun on Saturday night. Remember last year, all the doubters about with us playing Warren. There's no way Rio Hondo can do this again. And to those people, I sincerely say thank you on this fine Thanksgiving. That is the greatest gift you can give Rio Hondo Prep, is to doubt them one more time. We'll see you Saturday night. Hopefully you were enjoying this podcast at Care Park in Irwindale on Thanksgiving morning with Thanksgiving with the Cares. But if you listen to this later on or on the road, let's go. The time is now. The place is here once again. Let's see if Rio Hondo can prove the doubters wrong one more time. It's going to be fun. Thank you for tuning in, and happy Thanksgiving to you all here on the Charge to Keep podcast.
You can see the fire burning in our eyes. I can taste the greatness, this is our time. We could be here.